Hello and welcome to the Argos Report Viewer training. My name is Chris and I'll be leading this training today. For training purposes, we will be recording all of our training sessions and making some of them available for download from our support site. If you want to review our recorded trainings, please download them from the website and you can follow at your own pace. The intended audience for this training is the Argos Report viewer and users that are new to Argos. The goal of this training is to demonstrate the basic functionality of Argos and the Argos Web Viewer. We'll take a look at how to execute and distribute reports in each. We will be covering the following objectives in this training: an overview of what Argos is, what it does, and how it works, the resources available in Argos, and the capabilities available as a report viewer. First, we're going to review what Argos is and what it does. Argos is a web-enabled application used to create custom reports against a database. Argos users connect to the map server via a secure web interface. The map server handles the connection and security to your database and is where we launch all of the eVisions applications, including Argos, FormFusion, and IntelliCheck. Argos can be connected to various ERP and SQL-based databases, including Banner, Oracle, SQL Server, DB2, and Excel, to name just a few. If you have a department database that you would like to create custom ad hoc reports from, please talk to your Argos administrator to see if Argos can connect to it. To create our reports, there are three things we typically use: a data block form, the report query, and the report format. First, we have our data block form, and this is where we would narrow our results. Second is the report query. The report query is a SQL query and is how the requirements are sent to the database. The query incorporates three things: our search parameters, our criteria, and a list of data elements that we want returned. In Argos, we take the data block form and the report query and we combine them into one object that we call a data block. Third, we have our report format. The report format contains the instructions used to create the report. Reports are created as children of the data block. This means we can use the data block form and query to create multiple reports. The reports under a data block are just different ways of formatting the data we get back from the database. Looking at our example, we can see there are 4 reports under this data block. Please do not confuse the report query with the object query. Object queries are the queries used to populate the objects placed in a dashboard, while the report query is the main driving query used to generate your report output. Object queries and report queries may or may not be identical. In the query process, we enter our search parameters. The data block will then incorporate the criteria into a query. The query is sent to the data source for processing. The requested records are passed back through Argos to the data block. The data block will then process the information and build the report with the format that was selected. A data block cannot only produce different formatted reports, it can also produce different reports altogether. If we have a data block that returns the fields name, address, grade, and registration status, we can create various reports because we are not required to use all of the returned fields. From the returned fields, we can choose which ones to display in the report. For example, if we wanted a class grade roster report, this contains the fields name, grade, and registration status. The address field would not be used and would be discarded. If we wanted a report for mailing labels, this report could be created with the same data block. The data block will return all the same fields, but we would only use the fields we wish to display. This report may just contain the field's name and address, and since we don't need the remaining fields, those would be discarded. As a report viewer, you're not required to know this information. This is simply a brief overview of the concept of querying. Here are a few points to remember as you navigate through Argos. The data in each report comes directly from the data source. Information is never stored in Argos. Not all of the fields returned by a data block have to be used in every report. And the information coming from the data block is dependent on the query created by the data block designer. If the data in the report is not what is expected, some reasons why this may be are there is an issue with the query that retrieves the data, or there could be an issue with the data in the data source. Understanding this concept will make communication with your data block designer easier and will help in troubleshooting these errors. Next, we are going to discuss the 4 different roles within Argos. Each role has different actions that it can perform, and each role can do the actions of the previous role, as well as additional actions specific to that role. The first role is the report viewer. Report viewers can view and execute reports. The next role is the report writer. The report writer, in addition to the report viewer actions, can create and design reports. Next is the data block designer. In addition to the actions of the previous roles, the data block designer can create data blocks and schedule reports. And the last role is the Argos administrator. In addition to be able to perform the tasks of all the other roles, the Argos administrator can administer security, users, and set up the API module. Now that we've gone over what Argos is and how it works, we'll take a look at the application and discuss the available resources and capabilities you have as a report viewer. I've brought a web browser up on my screen. This is the URL that I use to access my eVisions applications. Your Maps administrator will provide the URL used at your institution. This URL can be saved and treated like any other website. Hit the wrong button. Notice that I have the option to launch Argos or the Argos Web Viewer. In order for the Web Viewer to be an option, your map server must be configured for HTTPS. If it is not configured for HTTPS, the Web Viewer button will not appear. You would start by selecting the product you wish. In this case, I'm already on Argos. And I'll click the Argos Power button to start the application. This is the Argos main page, where all of our Argos tasks will start. At the top of the screen, we have a menu bar. Below that, our main toolbar. And below the toolbar, the window is split into two panes. This left-hand pane has 2 tabs, the Explorer, which has our folder structure, and Shortcuts, where our shortcuts are stored. The right pane has the available actions when we select on a data block, a detailed view for information for the objects we've selected, and our search bar. The search feature, a new feature added in version 4.5, allows you to search for data blocks, reports, folders, and schedules. Also at the bottom of our screen, we can see some login information. We have the server that we're connected to, the user that I'm logged in as, and the role of this user. Let's go through a little more of the navigation of Argos. At the top, we have the menu bar, as I mentioned, which contains standard menu items. The tool menu is where you have the option to change your password. Be sure to contact your Argos administrator for your organization's password policy before making a change. In the icon toolbar, notice that many of these options are greyed out. The reason for this is that as a report viewer, we do not have permissions to use them. The buttons we do have access to are the online support site, the help or in-product documentation, and a sign-in, sign-out button. Alright, so next I'm going to discuss the resources that are available to you. The first resource I want to talk about is the in-product documentation. There are two ways to access the documentation. The first is the help icon in the toolbar. This will take you to a general page describing Argos. The second option is to press F1 on my keyboard. Here, the in-product documentation is context sensitive, so the initial page brought up will depend on where you are within Argos. In this case, we get information on the Explorer tree, because that's the area we were in when I pressed F1. The next icon to discuss is the support icon. This button will take us to our online support site. Do note that you need to sign in to access some of these resources. I am already signed in at the top. This is our support page, which has links to different areas of support, including product-specific resources, the knowledge base, online training, and our help desk. First, I want to talk about the available trainings. We have on-demand training, which are recorded from our online live sessions. Online live training, which is what we're doing now. We also have on-site training and classroom training, which are offered by our professional services team. If you want to review today's training, a video from a previous online session is available under On Demand, and you can follow it at your own pace. If I scroll down to the bottom here, under Installation and Upgrades, we have some documentation available. The Argos Implementation Guide identifies the recommended steps to quickly get Argos up and running in your environment. The Argos Security Overview is a high-level conceptual document explaining the security capabilities in Maps and Argos. We also have links to the Argos release guides, some upgrade best practices, and our product version compatibility matrix. Going back up to resources, the in-product help gives you information regarding the functionality of a particular component in Argos. The knowledge base is a useful resource for resolving common issues and errors. There's the training, which I've already discussed. The Download Center provides you with software and documentation downloads. Forums will take you to the Evisions forums, which is your destination for open discussion and asking questions of your peers. Each Evisions product has its own forum. There is also a general forum for industry-related topics, as well as discussions or questions that are not specific to an individual product. The Evisions blog shows our most recent blog posts, and Contact Support will allow you to create and track your support request help desk tickets. For the purposes of this training, let's take a quick look at the knowledge base. So here we have our knowledge base, and to use it you could scroll through the list of available issues. You could also narrow by a subcategory. There's also a search bar at the top where you can search for errors or other keywords. There may be an article related to an issue that you're running into. I'm going to search for bursting in Argos. This search will return knowledge base articles and how-to videos. The new search also features an advanced search that allows you to further narrow your criteria. And here's my results. For more detailed information on our support site, please refer to a how-to video titled Support Site Features, General Navigation, Knowledge Base, and Forums. Now we're going to discuss the capabilities that are available as a report viewer. First, we have the folder structure and the detail view. In the Explorer, we have folders. Folders organize and maintain security on data blocks. The arrows can be used to expand and contract our folders. Once you have expanded a folder, you can see any additional folders and data blocks that it contains. We talked a little about data blocks earlier. A data block is represented by this stack of blue blocks. When you highlight a data block, you can see available actions in the window on the right, as well as related information, such as the title and a description if there was one. If I click on this eye icon, I can also get more detailed information, such as the author, creation date, the last run, and modified date as well. If I expand a data block by clicking this arrow, I can see the reports that are contained within this data block. If you want to get detailed information on a report, you can highlight that report and click on the eye icon again. The same as the data block, I can now see the author, created, modified, last run, as well as the name of the data block, and there would be a description underneath if one was present. You can see here I have 4 different reports represented by 4 different icons. These are the 4 different report formats that can be created in Argos. The first report format is a dashboard. It's represented by an icon that looks like a magnifying glass. Dashboards are designed to be on-screen reports. The information will be returned directly to your monitor. Next, there is our extract report. It's an icon with the letters FIX. An extract report is designed to meet predefined output specifications and can create 3 kinds of reports, including a more complex comma delimited, a fixed width, and an XML report. The next report is a CSV, or comma delimited report. This report is identified by the letters CSV. The report format exports data in a flat text file. This file can then be used in a spreadsheet program, such as Excel, to manipulate the data. The last report is our Bandit Report. Its icon is a dash, representing a band. A Bandit Report is a fully formatted report that is designed to be printed. This report is used for major publications, presentation reports, and PDF files. Bandit reports can use grouping, pictures, custom colors, charts, and other design elements. We'll take a look at each of these reports in a little more detail later on. For more information on any of these reports, you could also refer to our in-product documentation. Next, we're going to discuss the shortcuts section. Navigating through the Explorer tree can be time-consuming. With a shortcut, we can access a report or a data block more quickly. There are 2 types of shortcuts. My shortcuts are shortcuts that are made exclusively for your use, and shared shortcuts are shortcuts that everyone can see. Report viewers and writers can only create a My shortcut. To create a shortcut, if you notice there, highlight My report, and I can click on the shortcut button in the detail window. When this dialog box pops up, I can only create a My shortcut because I'm a viewer. I can set it to open in a new window or to slide into an existing window. Now, when I go to my shortcut tab, I can see a shortcut to the extract report that I just created. After I highlight my shortcut, I have 5 options that I can run. I can execute, which is going to run the target report or data block. Rename will allow me to rename the shortcut. Locate will take me to the target point in the Explorer tree. Delete would delete the shortcut, and Edit allows us to edit the settings. Now we're going to move on and discuss the search functionality. The search feature allows you to search for data blocks, reports, folders, and schedules that meet various criteria. To perform a simple search, enter the desired text in your search field and click Search, or press Enter on your keyboard. I'm just going to search for address, and the returned results are going to appear in the pane below. I can sort my results by clicking on any of the headers at the top. If I right-click on an object, I can select Locate, which will take me to the object's location in the Explorer tree. Just run my search again quickly. Double-clicking on an object will do the same as right-clicking and selecting Locate. If you want to perform a more in-depth search, you can expand the advanced filters by clicking on this arrow. Advanced filters allow me to choose to include folders, data blocks, reports, or schedules in my search results. An Argos administrator would also have the option to include objects that were located in the trash bin. Other available filters include the date created, date last modified, or last run. You can also search by author or the associated connection or pool. You can choose to include all or none by selecting the options at the top. So I'm going to perform an advanced search for the data block I want. I'm going to remove all filters except data block, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to give myself a date created of 05/01 2016 and 06/01 2016. And now I can select to update my results. You can see that my results in the lower pane have narrowed down. I know my data block was created on May 19, 2016, which I can find here under Date Created. And if I double click, it highlights the data block in the navigation. And now we're going to run through examples of each of the reports. Our first report is the dashboard. First we need to run the dashboard, which I could achieve by double clicking on the icon, or I can run dashboard in the right-hand pane. After executing the report, we see the data block form that is the basis for all reports created under this data block. Each report will use the same data block form, but the information will be processed differently. A dashboard will provide us with a status report of the data block. We have various control boxes that we use to enter our search criteria, and we have a box at the bottom that will return the results of our query. The first control is a date field. We can tell at a glance this is a date field because it has a calendar page icon. Clicking that will bring up a calendar. Double arrows can be used to scroll by year, or single arrows by month. You can also manually type in a date if you know what you're looking for. 01, 01, 01. The next control is a drop-down box. The drop-down box has an arrow that you can click and select an item from the list. This next control is called a list box. It has a scroll bar on the side that you can use to view all icons in it. In most cases, this control allows you to make multiple selections from the available list. To make multiple selections, you can use the Control key on your keyboard to select individual items. You can use the Shift key to select everything between the items you select. You can also use Control A, which will select everything. This next box is an edit box. The edit box allows a user to search by all or part of a text field. In this case, we're using it to narrow down our search by last name or part of a last name. This field may or may not be case sensitive. It will depend on how your report query has been written. In this case, I know it is not, and I'm going to use a lowercase w. I also have a checkbox, which can be used to narrow or expand my search results. This object is a memo field, and it is a block that allows you to enter multiple lines of text. It's larger than the edit box above it, and if the text goes down beyond where we can see, there will be a scroll bar at the side. In a dashboard, the memo field is not a useful object because it is not being used to narrow the search results. I will be using the memo field later in this training with a different type of report. If a dashboard report is often run with the same parameters, rather than inputting the same variables each time the report is run, the Save Setting option can be used to auto-populate those fields. After entering your desired values, I will expand the drop-down for Dashboard Options and select Save Current Settings. I've now got the option to give my saved settings a name and description. You can also choose to make this setting public by checking the Share with Others box. So these are my saved settings for the November training. Now, when I launch my dashboard, I would have the option of selecting my saved settings from this drop-down. This will auto-populate the control fields with the settings I have saved. Finally, we also have a button. Buttons may cause many different actions. In this case, it's going to run my query and return the results to my screen. Notice that this form displays our results in a multi-column list box. One option we do have with the multi-column list box is to export the contents as a comma delimited. This file can then be read and modified in a spreadsheet program, such as Excel. To do this, right-click in the multi-column list box and click on Save Results. Here we have our Save Result window where we can select the columns to export. You can check and uncheck the boxes to select or deselect them. The check mark selects all items. The X will deselect them all. You can choose to move fields up or down the ordering by using the arrows. You can also rename the selected field. Choose whether or not you wish to write headers. Include the variable name with the field name, and include a byte order mark. Include byte order mark to ensure that characters with special formatting are exported correctly. I'm going to leave everything as the default and click Save. I now get a file save option. Dashboard, export, and save. I get a confirmation box letting me know my file has been saved. And I can now open this file up with Excel and treat it like any other spreadsheet file. Okay, let's move on to discuss the CSV report, which is a flat text style or comma delimited format report. This report options drop-down allows us to select any of the reports that are available under the dashboard, under the data block. I'll select my CSV. Here are the options I have for this report. I can save to disk, create and email, or save and open. Clicking Save will bring up a Save Report window where we can name the file and save it off. I get a confirmation letting me know the file has been saved. The second option is to send the report as an attachment in an email. Please note that your administrator must first make the email option available. Clicking the email icon brings up the Send an Email window where I can configure my email. The default email server has been selected for me, so I would fill in the remaining fields with my email address, the subject, the body of my report, the attachment name is going to default to attachment.csv. And please note this is not the same name for the file I created and named using the Save option. Each of these options are independent of each other. You can also choose the file format you wish. I'll leave it as CSV and go ahead and click Send. The report is created and I get a notification telling me that it has been emailed. The final option is to save and launch. Again, I'm asked to name the file, but immediately after saving my file, the file is opened with my spreadsheet program. You may have noticed that the data in this CSV is different from the data returned by saving the dashboard report in the multi-column list box. This is because the reports have been set up and formatted differently. Next, we're going to run our extract report. For this report, we can also save to disk, create and email, or save and open. The save option and the email option are going to work exactly the same as the CSV report. So I'm just going to choose to save and launch to demonstrate the extract. This time I'm going to fill in my comments section because that has been built into the extract report. So testing comments for November 17. Notice I'm again asked to enter a name and save my report. Unlike my CSV report, this one has opened in Notepad because it was saved as a text file. We have our header at the top, which contains the university information, a contact email address, and the date that it was run. Next, we have the comments that I entered in the memo box. And below that, we have all the data for the report that is formatted as a fixed width report. That is to say that the data elements all start in the same place. My ID, last name, first name, city, state, and zip all start in the same position because it was set up as a fixed width report. The width of the field defines the number of characters that will be displayed for each field. If a field exceeded the maximum amount of space, that field would be truncated. The last report I want to show you is the Bandit Report. The Bandit Report encompasses the most formatting and is primarily designed for printing. Notice that the icons at the top have now changed. We have Preview, Save to Disk, Create and Email, and Print. First, I'm going to click on Preview. This brings up the report in a preview screen. I can zoom in and out by using the buttons at the top. I can scroll through the pages by clicking on these arrows, the single arrows to move page by page. The double arrows will jump right to the end or right to the front. I can use this to take me straight to a page. If I want to go to page 3, we can search for a specific text. If I search for Worcester, it's telling me that can be found on page 3, which is the page I'm already on. I also have the option to print and save the file. If I click on Save, here I'm asked to give my file a name. Actually, sorry, let me go back. The Bandit Report can be saved as different file types, including HTML, PDF, which is the default, RTF, XLS or TXT. While it may seem odd to save a Bandit Report to another format, it is sometimes necessary. If, for example, we needed an Excel file, but no CSV report was available, we have the option to save the Bandit Report as an XLS file type. I'll go back to PDF. And when I click Save, I get my PDF setup window. I'm going to accept the defaults in this. Beginning in Argos version 5.2, the PDF setup window will now remember your last used settings for items such as font embedding and author information, among others. The report is created and opens up in my Adobe Reader. We can also do a direct save or an email. These are going to work the same as the other reports. The last option is to print. A print selection window will now pop up when I click the button. Notice that you are not prompted to save prior to printing. The save option must be selected to save a hard copy. So now that we've seen how to navigate and run reports in the Argos client, let's take a look at how to perform the same tasks using the Argos Web Viewer. Argos 4.2 introduced a new way to run dashboards and reports with Argos Web Viewer. This feature allows you to view reports from your favourite web browser. This means you can run Argos reports from a Mac, a PC, a tablet, or even a mobile phone. Just close these down, and I'll need to log in again. And select Web Viewer. So this is the Web Viewer main page. The Web Viewer functions much like the client version, but there are some differences when it comes to the look and to the feel. Notice that it is split into two panes, similar to the client, but unlike the client, we cannot click on a folder to expand it and view its contents. Instead, all folders are going to be displayed in this left panel, and data blocks will be displayed on the right. I click into my training folder. It now shows me the folders contained within it. So I've got Administrator, Advanced, Designer, Report Viewer, Report Writer. And in the right-hand panel, I can see there are no data blocks in that training folder. If I click on my Report Viewer folder, we can see it contains one additional folder and two data blocks. Notice that as I've navigated through the folders, a breadcrumb trail is created at the top. I can use this to navigate back through my path by simply clicking on the location I wish to go back to. Since the Report Viewer folder is where I'm going to want to be, I can set this location as my home. To set your home location, navigate to the desired folder and click on Settings and Set as Home. It will now tell you the current folder. And whenever I log into Web Viewer, I'll be taken directly to this home folder. Settings is also where I could change my password. You can also create shortcuts. If I click on the Shortcut tab, I can see the list of report and data block shortcuts I currently have. You may notice that some of these shortcuts are my shortcuts or private, meaning only I can see them. My shortcuts are going to have a lock icon. A shortcut without the lock icon is a shared shortcut that everyone can see. I can choose to rename or edit and also delete shortcuts. And I can do that by just clicking on the X and delete. To create a shortcut, you would click on the star icon next to the data block or report you wish to create a shortcut of. Again, I can only create my shortcuts as a report viewer. Next to the Shortcut tab, there is also a Recent tab, which will list recently visited data blocks and reports. The Web Viewer also has a search feature similar to the client. I can enter a word into the search field and either press the search button or enter on my keyboard. In Web Viewer, the results will be filtered by data blocks and reports. To close my search results, I can click on the X. Now let's take a look at this address information data block. The dot with the number on it shows the number of reports under this data block. This is a share icon that will allow you to send the URL of the data block via email. And if I click on Details, I get more detailed information, such as the description if there was one, the author, date created, modified, last run. I can also now see a list of the reports that this data block can create. Now let's take a look at how to run one of these reports. I'm going to go ahead and click on my Bandit Report. This is going to load the same dashboard we were seeing in the client. I could fill in all my criteria, but I can also pull in my saved setting. 01/01/2001, everything highlighted, lowercase w. I have a drop down here where I could switch between the different types of reports if I wanted to. And notice I also now have the run icon. Because it's my Bandit report, it's going straight to a PDF. And here we have my Bandit report. Okay, we've actually come to the end of today's training. If you are a report writer, a data block designer, or an Argos administrator, please sign up for additional training through the Evisions website. All right, thank you everyone for attending. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.